Hello and welcome to today's rough and ready video. I say rough and ready because it's supposed to rain, so I thought I'd bring you to my half finished area that's undercover, which is all a bit rough and half ready. I've got a new cooking accessory I want to test out to see if it actually works, and it's inside here. It's a ceramic stone. It's around 8 inches wide or 20 centimetres and about 10 mil deep. I'll explain a bit more about this in a minute, but first let's get set up. Lovely job. Today we're going to attempt to make a crustless quiche or a frittata. You decide which one it is. Usually when you cook something on an alcohol stove, you get that kind of hot spot in the middle and you always get a burn in your food. The idea of this ceramic stone is that it heats up and the heat spreads evenly, so that way in theory when you cook anything on top, such as a cake or a quiche or pie, that heat should spread out evenly across and you shouldn't get a hot spot underneath. So I thought we'd test out together today and see what happens. It's been about 3 or 4 minutes and that Trangia is starting to kick in big style. It's quite hot in the middle. I want it to spread out, so I go straight on top with our cooking pan. As this is not going to be a pastry base, I thought I'd use something else and see if it works out. Bit of oil, or shall we say a bit too much oil. Let's take a bit out. That'd be fine. And I thought I'd use some corn for the base. It's finely ground. What I want to happen is my mix gets absorbed into that, and that corn creates a little tiny crust at the bottom. For the quiche mix or the frittata mix, I've got a mixture of carrot, pepper, mushrooms and onion. I pre-cooked that just to save a bit of time. All we're going to do is add some herbs. Some pepper for seasoning, a bit of salt and some baking powder to give it a bit of extra lift. Throw in some eggs. Without the shells. I hardly ever measure anything when I'm cooking things. People get too hung up about recipes. You've got to do this, you've got to do that. At the end of the day, all I'm creating is a mix that's going to bind together. Now we're going to whip him up. And throw in some grated cheese. How much you put in is up to you. Basically, if you want a thicker quiche or frittata, you put more in, and if you want a thinner one, you put less in. It's as simple as that. Just as an afterthought, I'm going to throw in a little bit of this fine corn just to help bind everything together. That should help absorb any fats that come out of the cheese as it melts. There's definitely something happening under there. It's getting super hot. Need a glove. Ooh. Shall we have a look at the stone? Now that is a super hot stone, I can see. It's hot all over. Let's get the mix in. Just spread him out. And we get the lid on. What I want to do is trap this heat underneath. So what I'm going to do, I've got my Firebox cutting board and I've got some of this building material. I cut off 2 pieces. It's like building insulation material, and I'm just going to leave them on top. There we go, and that's it. We'll walk away. Right, it's been about 10 minutes, so I thought I'd bring you out for a bit of a look. Obviously we're limited to the Trangia today. It'll only go for about 25 minutes in total with the amount of fuel it's got in it. All seems to be going well. I can't smell any burning. Now really what I should be doing is still rotating this around so that centre of heat gets spread out a bit. But I was curious to see with that stone underneath, but just the heat in one spot, how much it did actually kind of spread out, so I've left it for now. There's a good possibility I could still have a big burnt spot underneath. Let's just lift him off and I'll show you what the Trangia is doing. He's firing away like a good one. I want to have a sneak peek at this. Oh, that's going really well. I can't smell any burning. I'm starting to smell some cheese cooking. So that's good. So far I'm quite happy with that. I'm not expecting this to be kind of cooked really well on top or have a bit of a brownish caramelized colour to it, because there's no heat on top. It is purely trying to save the heat that's in there and keeping it inside the pan. We'll give it another 10 minutes and we'll come back. Right, Trangia's just gone out. He's out of fuel. Now I could have tried flipping this at some point and see if it cooks on the other side, but that really wasn't the point of this. The point was to see how well this kind of setup would cook, just keeping the heat in from the top. I can still feel, ooh, there's a lot of heat still been retained in there. Let's take him off here and see what we've got. There we are. I brought you right in, so you'll be able to see what I see when I see it. We'll do the big reveal together. I can smell it. It smells really nice. Oh, not just yet. Take this off. I can feel that's really warm underneath. So by putting the insulation on the top, that's kept a lot of that heat in. Here we go. That's not bad at all, is it? It's nicely done around the outside. It's cooked in the middle. Let's zoom you in. What do you think? I think that's done really well. There's a nice bit of brown crisping around the edge, and I can't smell any burning. He's had a couple of minutes to cool down a bit. Let's take him off of there. That's the stone underneath. That's incredible. The heat's distributed really well. In the centre there, I can kind of hold my fingers on it, but on the outside we're kind of down to about 3 seconds. That means that heat has been in there and it's kind of spread its way all the way out, and it seems to have gone in that kind of like letting the heat out that way. Okay, let's see if he's stuck. Doesn't seem to be a problem there. What I'm going to try and do is just flip him and see what he's like on the bottom, whether that heat's distributed at all or whether there's a hot spot. Be really interesting to find out. Here we go. So there you have it. There's no hot spot in the middle at all. That's amazing. It's nice and fluffy on the outside. Probably wearing a bit excess with the corn flour there, or the ground corn. You can see from that, that's done an absolutely beautiful job. I'm not quite sure the best way to portion this up. We'll go in from the top. Let's have a good look at him. I think that's done an absolutely beautiful job. Right, let's take a bit off and see what he's like. I'll show you underneath. It's got a little bit of slight crust to it there. That's turned out really well. Remember, you don't have to cook this sort of thing outside. You can use the same type of mix, do it at home in the oven. You'll get a nice crust on top. You can see from that he's cooked. There's no sogginess anywhere. So there you have it, pastryless quiche or frittata. You decide. So if you enjoyed that bit of cooking and you want to see more of that sort of thing, Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Info shed out.